Hey everybody! Rebellion here to bring you once again something a little bit different. Like usual with these things, I am taking a look at a game that I don't think I would really give him much of a chance based on looks alone. Like all of these little videos of mine, I will say upfront that I wasn't paid for this and the game was given to me free of charge for the purpose of this video. I was told to give this a shot and give my honest opinions on it, and that I had freedom as usual for these type of videos. The game in question is Avadon 3. Funny thing is I actually never played Avadon 1 or 2, so imagine my surprise when I actually figured out that I actually owned the first Avadon. Having never heard about it, I was actually not sure where I got it. And looking back a bit, I realized I actually got it in a Humble Bundle. Imagine that. So I debated playing the first one, but after a while I was distracted by some other things, and I never really got around to it. One of the things that distracted me though was the visuals of the game, as it didn't really do the game any favors in my opinion, but in the back of my head, it stayed in there because it reminded me of some old things that I never really remembered up until this point. It stayed back there, I knew about it, but I just never really thought about it. It reminded me of the visuals of the old Diablo 2 game that I played on my dad's compact computer. It makes me smile. So imagine my surprise when I see that, I think about it, and then I realize I have a Steam key for it. It was a treat, and I wasn't expecting to get that. First are the visuals of the game. Obviously, at least for me, they aren't that appealing to look at. It tugged at the old style of games of yesteryear, but even more of it, it triggered something, as I said, my want that of the Diablo games. I really miss that. But even more than that, it hit something that I really haven't been able to explore in ever. As a small thing, I haven't played many tabletop games in general, but the one that I've wanted to play for a while is a D&D game. Quite a few of my friends have played a campaign or two, and they often tell me stories of their journeys and the stuff they get up to, and they can't help but laugh and wish that I had the chance for it. After playing this game for a good hour and a half, I found myself making the connection between the game and a D&D style campaign. Being dropped into this world with the art that reminded me of the stuff I'd seen in the books just made it feel surprisingly more alive despite the graphics, and made me fall deeper into the world, and with that the game. Still every now and then I sometimes would happen to yank me out of the experience because of the art, but thankfully it didn't happen that much. And it wasn't that long before I got into the mindset of a D&D style campaign and I just lost myself in it. The gameplay, again to draw parallels, reminds me of the old games of yesteryear like my first example of Diablo 2. You can click to move around the map, and with it, follow a sort of grid turn-based style combat that I immediately found my footing in. While I am somewhat used to almost exclusive mouse controls, these things did kind of throw me for a loop with their shortcuts. I couldn't quite get the grasp of stuff that would be like pressing G to activate an item, and then pressing F to start and end combat, and A to activate something else. I was used to the WASD controls for moving up and downs, but can't get that here. What didn't help with that my mouse was, in a way, starting to mess up or die during this game session. Occasionally I would double click or not register a click for a moment or two and then click, which messed up some of the tactical battles. Aside that, there is the dialogue in the game. When you talk to people, a box appears and it will often give you choices on what to say. Being the game that looks like it is, I didn't put much weight on the choices, till a loading screen showed up and sort of reminded me that there are multiple endings based on the choices and things like character affinities. This made me sort of stop and think a bit more. Sure, the game isn't the best looking, but even for that, feeling like that, text isn't much in terms of space in the game. And with as much as this game has, it's bound to offer quite a bit in terms of choice and action. I never really pushed my luck, but I did mess around a bit. Still, aside clicking around and using strange, at least for me, shortcuts for activating abilities or using skills, the map itself was a bit of a curveball. In so long I hadn't seen a map like it, which honestly isn't a bad thing. As you move around the map, you reveal more and have more information to play with while you're on your way, sort of like Fog of War. The white lines meant a wall of some sort, and a small something meant a small question mark meant something sort of an entrance, or a point of interest for a player to look at. Putting the mouse over it revealed what it was, but I didn't learn this till later, so it was much of me walking around getting close enough to read a sign that was on the door. Still, for a game like this, it lived off the story more than the nostalgia factor for me. As I mentioned earlier, I have never heard of the series despite owning one of the previous games. So when I was approached to play the third in the series, I was a bit confused. I didn't know the story, if the story of one spanned multiple games into a single epic story of multiple characters, or just different characters in a single world sharing only settings and nothing else. Thankfully, the game does fill you in on the world in the beginning, and does a decent job enough to get you into the shoes of the character you decide to pick. Depending on your choice, you can either be a Blade Master, Shadow Walker, Shaman, Sorcerer, or a Tinker Mage. The Blade Master seems like a straightforward knight tank combo, and the Shadow Walker was the assassin. The Shaman appeared to be a bit more supportive with the heal and the ability to summon things like wolves and to help out in combat. The Sorcerer being what it always is, a badass that can call death on the field of a cloud of fire, I was actually interested in the Tinker Mage. Starting out, it sort of be some sort of intelligent-based class that threw shuriken-like things and built ballistic turrets everywhere to kill things, while I sort of did the dance of trying not to get hit. With my class chosen, I did get thrown into the world in what I assume was a standard opening that you get no matter what class you picked, and get assigned a few secondary characters to play with that were part of the previously mentioned 5 combo of Blade Master, Shadow Walker, Shaman, Sorcerer, and Tinker Mage. Unfortunately, I couldn't rename them to make my own little fun group, but I could change them in other ways. When each leveled up, I could change their stat distribution, skill point investment, and inventory equipment as I wanted. On that note, there's the stat labeled encumbered. With each character has a max number, so I guess there is weight and eventual disadvantages of being a hoarder or putting on too much armor on a character that's not made for that. I've only played about 4 hours of the game so far due to time constraints, but even with that, I'm in love with this game, and wanted to play the previous 2 to see how it leads up to all of this. Being so new to the game series as I am, I can't really give a score or anything resembling a score on this. The world is still growing on me, and being as early as I am in it, I can only guess how much there is left and what I will find in the world. Still, for all this good, there are a few bad things to take off of it. For one, the game doesn't seem like to be in windowed mode. Whenever I would launch the game in windowed mode, my PC would sort of flip out for a bit, and, as a similar issue that's been repeating over several games now, making me think it's something else, my mouse would be tracked in-game, but still move around on my monitors when I was playing. So clicking without thinking about it could actually lead me to clicking on something on the desktop, and even worse, with the mouse the way it is, launching random programs like GIMP, VLC, or that ever-annoying Skype. Still, even with how little I know of the game and how little time I've spent with it, I do plan on playing the rest of it, if they are anything like what I've experienced so far with Avadon 3. For being such a small game coming in at roughly 200 megabytes, I am at the moment seeing quite a bit of potential for an expansive and engrossing world. I probably should have seen this coming from the synopsis, and it's the third in a series of games, but I kind of naturally have a thing in my head for correlating sides of a game to content that can be enjoyed. That's not a good thing to have. This isn't always true, as other games have shown me, and this only strengthens that argument. I actually don't know the price of the game when it's going to come out, but if it's like the other ones currently on Steam, it might end up being $9.99. And if it is, I'd jump on it knowing what I do now. Even more astoundingly, I was given DLC for this game. Not an expansion or alternate costumes, but instead a hint book and bonus documents. Like the days long gone when these games would come with a hint book, which was invaluable for getting past some things and finding out little secrets you wouldn't expect to find. I haven't looked at much staying away from anything that revealed the story lengths or maps of the areas, and instead just look at the chapters to sort of see like what it had to offer. And from the chapters, it told me it has general advice, a story walkthrough, loyalty for characters, area description and map of sections, and even cheat codes. What kind of cheat codes these are, or how you would even input them, I have no clue. But it sounds kind of exciting for me to sort of mess around with after I'm done with my initial run. I'm probably going to jump back into the game as soon as time's opened up for me, and hopefully keep the recording of my game going as I really am enjoying it. And I am also curious if others on my channel would enjoy watching me play it as well. With that said, I obviously haven't beaten the game, so a score is out of the question along with everything that I said, but a solid recommendation is coming from me to give this game, or at least this series, a shot. With that, I will leave you with my opinion so you can make your own on this game. If you enjoy RPGs that really make you feel like you're playing one of those old classic tales, then this one will probably make you feel right at home with its story and characters. I'm excited to go back to play the game, and at the moment of writing this script, that should be coming pretty soon, so hopefully there'll be more from me about this game in some form of an annotation somewhere on the screen to let you know if I'm continuing the playthrough and hopefully linking to it. I hope that if you do give it a shot, you enjoyed it as much as I do. Still, thanks for watching and letting me give you guys my thoughts of the game. I hope it was entertaining in some way and maybe a bit insightful about the game if you were, like me, looking into it as a new face to the series. Stay awesome everyone, and I hope to see you again if my videos ever pique your interest.